What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with the one, the only...
Gersh 1, echándole ganas. Sorry.
Echándole ganas?
Yeah, porque no hay de otra.
Yeah, puro fierro. So let's get it popping with some more questions being answered and another for the greater...
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get those questions first. We also have super thanks, so if you guys want to support the channel and ask a question that is going to get a guaranteed answer next episode, hit us up with a super thanks. You could also support us on Patreon, just $1 a month. But yeah, that dollar really helps us ponernos las pilas, and we can, do more. And I have the question.
Yeah, you got the question.
So this question comes from, where did it go? Nico Thomas. Which Primarch would make GW the most money if they brought him back to the current timeline?
Dang, so which Primarch is the most popular? I have to say it's probably Sanguineous.
Blood Angels, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, like Sanguineous... in the old lore, was confirmed to be dead.
Yes.
Horus fought against him, and he fell to Horus's attack. However, in the new Siege of Terra storyline, that may be changing. We don't know. Chances are they'll probably stick pretty closely to the old lore, but they'll change some few things here and there. However, say he is dead, just because something dies in 40K doesn't mean it's gone forever.
Right.
We have seen saints, we have seen people come back from the dead, and we've also seen clones.
Yep.
However, with the whole Blood Angel storyline and the Sanguinor, we could see Sanguineous coming back some way, some shape, somehow.
Yep.
And I think that's what people really want to see. A badass, angelic, warrior leading the angels of death against chaos and all that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it would make the most sense for him to come back, not just in the sense that, like, lore-wise, like he's connected, or he's closer, Bao is closer to the Sictris Maledictum, but then at the same time, I think tabletop-wise, Blood Angels have gotten so much.
They have.
There's so much, like, they seem like the more popular faction because they have their own battle force, all that kind of stuff, where... some of the other factions, like, we're probably never going to see, what's Raven Guard, what's his name?
Oh, Corvus Corax.
Yeah, we're not going to see Corvus Corax anytime soon.
Yeah, like, whenever people say, oh, who's the next Primarch coming back? Corax is one of the last ones on my mind.
Yeah. And also, something that I just realized is that the reason that we're probably getting so many traitor Primarchs coming back and not the loyalists is if GW is doing, what is it called when, like, you get, like, a group of people and, like, you... run like who would you prefer kind of thing, like basically
like
surveying people.
Yeah.
I feel like for the most part traders are what most people want.
Yeah, because they're just like they for the most part they've all been like ascended to demons.
Yeah.
So they're gonna look really badass. I mean, look at Angron, Mortarion, Magnus, all really awesome centerpiece models.
Yeah.
And then you look at Guilliman, and he's like a lot smaller, kind of less flashy. But he's still a Primarch nonetheless. But still, if you were to get Guilliman or a Traitor Primarch, who would you get?
The Traitor Primarch.
Exactly.
Because they look cool. They got wings. Most of them got wings, right?
Yeah, I think they're going to make it so that all of them have wings. So whenever Fulgrim comes out, he's going to have wings.
And that's really the secret to everything. If you want to make something cool, the rule of cool, put wings on them.
Yeah. And who has wings? Sanguineous.
Yeah. He's a fucking angel.
Yes.
Great question. Let's move on to the next one.
This one is by... Ben903. How do the orcs wage war underwater?
That's a good question. They have submarines.
Yeah. Aquatic warfare is something you don't really hear too often in 40K, but it does happen. There are instances of like space marines fighting in like Tau Sept worlds that are like completely submerged, and they don't really need to breathe.
Right.
Not just that, but like they probably just sink to the bottom, and they're still able and capable of fighting under pressure, in darkness, with like the weight of water and stuff around them. So it doesn't really hinder them.
Yeah.
And I feel like those would also apply to orcs too. Like orcs don't really need to breathe, right?
I don't know.
Because like they're out in space on rocks and stuff, right?
That's true. Yeah.
And they're not like animals, but they're not plants. They're like a kind of mix in between.
Lichen.
Yeah. So it's like, from what I remember, I know you're the orc expert here, but I think orcs can be found anywhere, even in like volcanic places, toxic places and stuff like that. So what's stopping orcs from thriving underwater?
Yeah. During the Siege of Armageddon, I think this the third war for Armageddon, Godschool dropped submarines into the lakes of, I forget, the Necromundus, or what is it, Segundus? Necromundus Segundus, or I forget what it's called. Yeah. Armageddon Segundus. And that's like the whole, that was his way of conquering a certain continent. It's through submarines, and they would just kind of pop out, and they weren't just regular submarines. Obviously, they were
I'm over here thinking of U-boats.
Yeah, no,
clearly not.
These things were like death traps, and yeah, a lot of orcs died with faulty submarines and stuff. But yeah, it's fun. I don't know how you would play that on the tabletop.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird, like, forgotten thing.
I guess you could say that, because like there'd have to be elevations, right?
Yeah.
That'd be a really cool game. Like if GW ever wants to do like a Space Marine type of game, like a button smasher or whatever, but like underwater, that'd be cool. Next question.
This one's by Excalibur Forge. Who do you think is the next Primarch to die? I go for Angron for pissing off Ghazghkull Thraka. Yeah, I mean, it's been confirmed that Angron, whenever he does die, since he is a demon, they usually go back to the warp. But he's able to tether himself to the real world, so now he comes back in 8 weeks, 8 days, 8 hours, 8 minutes, 8 seconds, 8 nanoseconds, whatever it is, because that doesn't make sense. 8 days is not 8 weeks, it's 9 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's like, Khorne has his own numbering system. But yeah, so basically Angron can't die. He'll just come right back to the real world to continue, causing mayhem and taking skulls for the Skull Throne, blood for the Blood God, that type of stuff.
Right, yeah.
And also, I don't think Ghazghkull can take on Angron.
I don't know. But yeah, probably not. He was killed by
Ragnar.
Yeah. Ragnar.
That's a fight I'd want to see, but still, like, I don't think a demon Primarch would lose when a regular Primaris. Well, he's not regular. The main character Primaris took on Ghazghkull.
That's true. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe like I think if like it was Ghazghkull versus Angron, the orcs would like throw, like he would have to fight 1 million orcs and Ghazghkull. So.
And even then, I still think Angron got it.
Yeah, because he has wings. Yeah. He just flies. Next question comes from Hezreal. Have any Drukhari tried to use pleasure to appease Slaanesh and satisfy the thirst, rather than pain? I originally suggested this as a joke, but as I've thought about it more, it seems like a legitimate question. Slaanesh doesn't really distinguish between positive and negative emotions, so shouldn't intense joy satisfy the thirst just as well as intense suffering? So the Dark Eldar, or the Drukhari, don't cause pain because they want to pleasure Slaanesh or they want to appease Slaanesh. They do it because that's how they live longer. That's how they get their energy. Negative emotion, they feed off of negative emotions.
Right.
So it's the Dark Eldar. It has nothing to do with Slaanesh. They hate Slaanesh. They're scared of Slaanesh. Slaanesh will consume them.
Yeah. So just like the regular Eldari, they do not want to have anything to do with Slaanesh.
Yeah, and I think it especially if you're a newcomer, it's kind of hard to like pick that out at first because you think Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines are devoted to chaos. Same thing with cultists, right? Like Imperial Guard and then Chaos Cultists. The cultists are to chaos. But with the Craft World and the Drukhari, the Dark Eldar and the Eldar are not worshippers of chaos. They are actually they hate it just as much as Craft World.
Yeah, and that's one of the differences because like you were saying, you have Space Marines and you have Chaos Space Marines. It's not the Eldar and Chaos Eldar. No, they're just BDSM elves.
Yes.
Not chaos aligned.
Exactly.
Which I think that'd be something that kind of would be cool to see. Chaos Eldar. Because they're already psychically powerful. Imagine like Zeech blessing them or something. Yeah. They'd be a real threat.
Super threat.
Winter's Wrath. What single piece of technology or weaponry would cause the biggest impact to the Imperium, or help them the most from any other universe? Any other universe? Maybe cloning? Because they already have means of cloning in 40K, but it's like outlawed, and I feel like it's not as powerful as it is in other universes.
Yeah.
Because you do have the Death Corps of Krieg, which are like all just pretty much just
Sack babies.
Yeah, sack baby clones. You do have Primarchs that are cloned, but they're never to the height of their original. But I mean, we've seen how efficient cloning have been in, like, I was gonna say Star Wars, but like they're not really that efficient.
No, that's the reason they got rid of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cloning. I mean, I can still see cloning as like a positive thing. I
Maybe
think
cloning for like a different race, like if the Tau could clone or something like that.
Yeah, I think when you look at like different universes, it's difficult just because of the warp and in the immaterium and the warp powers, it elevates 40K into that fantasy realm.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to like bring it back to science, you just have to look within 40K itself and Blackstone. I think Blackstone, if the Imperium discovered Blackstone or figured out how to use Blackstone the right way, they can build their own Blackstone fortresses, which would be like devastating. Which is the equivalent of like if you look at Mass Effect. Mass Effect had those.
Oh,
what are they called? The things that just kill off the universe.
Oh, God, what are they called?
That those bug people. I can't remember the lore.
But like Death Stars, but like times 1,000.
Yeah. Same thing with Halo, right? That's what
the Halo,
were.
yeah, the Halo rings.
Yeah.
So they basically use that to clear the whole galaxy of life, and then like the Forerunners and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I think it would be kind of like that.
Yeah. But I was gonna say, but I feel like most of the stuff that we were thinking from all these other like instances, like the Dark Age of Technology had that. It's just been lost to the 40K era.
We have a last question by the big one. He asks, I want to go to other countries to escape my hellish life in the hood, but I can't afford the ticket price. Can I ship myself in a big carton box instead? And I also put snacks and water in there. Short answer is no, not anymore. But you used to be able to like ship babies through the post office.
Really?
Did you know that? Yeah.
Babies? No.
They would take care of the babies. It's not like you put them in a box. And
That's exactly what I was thinking.
But yeah, no. What I would suggest is get a job at like United Airline, American Airline, or something like that, because you fly standby for free.
That's true.
So, I mean, you have to get a job though, and that's not very hood of you. Real hood people sell drugs. Those are the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and we'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah, it's been the Sound Alchemist.
Gershwan.
And we are out.
Oh, I used to put my freedom first.